Welcome to National Fisherman Live. I'm Leslie Taylor. This season, stone crab fishermen in southwest Florida have been finding an unpleasant eight-legged surprise when they haul in their offshore traps. Instead of a trap full of the crab they are fishing for, they are pulling up octopuses. The clever octopuses are capitalizing on the easy prey of stone crabs caught in traps in the Gulf of Mexico. Ryan Gandy, a research scientist at the Florida Fish and Wildlife Research Institute in St. Petersburg, told the Miami Herald that while octopuses are a local problem off of Lee County, they are not causing crab losses statewide. The 2013 pink salmon harvest in Alaska was the largest on record. This was great news for some, but could spell bad news for others in the long term. The 219 million salmon harvested during the 2013 season could create a market glut that will drive prices down for several years. The year's bounty has filled 4 million cases of tall pink cans and left companies with almost 5 million cases in inventory, KFSK reports. Andy Wink, a seafood analyst for the McDowell Group, says that chronic oversupply depressed prices in the early 2000s. But in 2012 and 2013, wholesale prices for cases of tall pink salmon cans topped $100, more than double what they were a decade ago. Tom Sunderland, Vice President of Marketing for Ocean Beauty Seafoods, told KFSK that despite the heavy inventory position, processors are not in any kind of panic. The companies say a can of salmon has a shelf life of about 6 years, so the processors don't need to sell all of the 2013 catch right away. Plus, these days, some of the oversupply issue is mitigated because not all pinks end up in cans. Some are headed and gutted, then frozen and shipped overseas for more processing. In Greenland this month, international delegations from 5 Arctic coastal nations are meeting to discuss Arctic fishing. Thanks to warmer temperatures, huge sections of international waters in the Arctic that were once locked almost permanently in ice are now opening up in the summer. Last year, the US, Canada, and Denmark agreed to a preliminary deal to prevent commercial fishing in this region until more is known about this formerly untapped ecosystem. The Alaska Dispatch reports that the 3 nations hope to convince Russia and Norway to join the agreement that would prevent commercial fisheries from operating beyond the 200-mile exclusive economic zones until there has been a full assessment of the fish stocks that are there and how they can be harvested sustainably. Jerry Fraser, publisher of National Fisherman, has his doubts about an international agreement of this type.
I'm skeptical anyway of rules. When it comes to international fishing agreements in the Atlantic, we've had all kinds of problems with bluefin tuna. You have some countries that obey the rules: the U.S., Canada, Japan, near as I can see, and then you've got the European nations, some of whom are particularly egregious in the flouting of the quotas for bluefin tuna. So again, international tribunals setting rules over fish, to me, is always a dicey issue. Norway is a nation with probably as much a fishing tradition as any nation in the world. And to this day, they harvest whales, despite the opprobrium of a larger group of nations. So I'm not sure that this is, they're going to go along with this fishing prescription up there. I do think you have to try and set rules. But I think but what I'm saying is, in an area such as the Arctic, where nobody even knows how much fish is up there, I think there's a certain eagerness, I would imagine, to find out what is up there. If you want to find out how much fish is up there, I really think they ought to go fishing. I mean, if there's any body of fish up there, they're not going to get wiped out in a season or a year. And if there's no body of fish up there, we'll soon find out. And then we don't have to worry about regulating the law, because economics will regulate how much fishing goes on up there.
In Massachusetts, oystermen will soon be dealing with new regulations designed to limit the impact of the bacteria Vibrio Parahaemolyticus, an invasive pathogen that has sickened an increasing number of people in recent years. The bacteria, which is related to the organism that causes cholera, can lead to diarrhea, abdominal cramping, nausea, vomiting, and sometimes fever. The bacteria are most commonly ingested through raw or undercooked seafood, so people who eat raw oysters are at particular risk. Wicked Local Boston reports that cases of Vibrio poisoning in Massachusetts have approximately doubled in each of the past 2 summers. According to Julian Sear of the Massachusetts Bureau of Environmental Health, the local increase in Vibrio, usually found in more southern areas, is the result of the warming waters around Massachusetts. The regulatory changes will be in place by summer, forcing many oystermen to change their methods of harvesting, storing, and distributing their product. In a letter to the New England Fishery Management Council, NOAA Regional Director John Bullard said his agency does not support plans to open up a greater portion of Stellwagen Bank to commercial fishing in the winter of 2015-16. The fishing advocates have voiced a preference for redrawing the map dictating where commercial fishermen are allowed to fish to reduce the current closed habitat management area known as Stellwagen Large by half. Bullard wrote that his agency is opposed to opening the vulnerable habitat on Jeffrey's Ledge to mobile gear fishing because it would compromise years of recovery in the area and could reduce protection on critical juvenile groundfish habitat. The Gloucester Times reports that Bullard's letter is sure to anger fishing groups who have been meeting to assemble the preferred alternatives for the upcoming Omnibus Essential Fish Habitat Amendment that ultimately will chart where commercial fishermen will fish in the Northeast multi-species fishery. A final vote by the New England Fisheries Management Council on preferred alternatives is expected to be sometime in September. At that point, the process moves out of the Council's hands and into that of the federal fishing regulators at the National Marine Fisheries Service, who could overturn any action taken by the Council. NOAA did just that last December when it disregarded an overwhelming 2012 vote by the Council that would have reopened 5 areas in the Gulf of Maine and Georges Bank to commercial fishermen. Instead, the areas remained closed. For more commercial fishing news and analysis, subscribe to National Fisherman Magazine, visit our website at www.nationalfisherman.com, or subscribe to our twice-weekly e-newsletter. For National Fisherman Live, I'm Leslie Taylor.